I don't know if you ever watched the Young Turks. I don't know if you ever watched the Young Turks, but all they talk about in the second hour when I used to be there was the most outrageous sex stories in the world. So, and you know, I mean, I don't want to have to tell you that Cenk literally sat next to Hannah and said if he was in government, he would make it legal for people to have sex with animals. He literally said that. I'm not making that up. That people tweeted that video out.
How did it come to that, though? Because I've seen some YouTube drama in my life, but this is getting kind of spicy. I mean, Jimmy the Viper Dore versus Anna Kasparian is something that I didn't expect to see in 2021. If you don't know why I call him Jimmy the Viper, is because he actually spat on Alex Jones. Like, he did range damage, went like, papooey. There's video evidence of that. It's quite hilarious. Why would you demean yourself like that by spitting on Alex Jones? Like a viper in the grass, waiting to strike. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, you know, even with the spit, even with the rage damage, I still have more respect for Jimmy than I have for the Young Turks. Because Jimmy is doing his own thing on YouTube. He's not being promoted by the algorithm. He's the little guy. And I do like to watch left-leaning news as well as right-wing news in order to not trap myself in a bubble. And by watching Jimmy, I gotta say, like, at least he's not a hypocrite as far as I can see it. I mean, sure, every single person in the world at one point probably did something hypocritical, but at least it's not a constant with Jimmy. When you look at the Young Turks, you know, like, Anna Kasparian went on many segments ranting about how people who fat shame are bad and people who fat shame are evil and, you know, like, all nastiness towards people who fat shame. And then when she sees Alex Jones, what does she do? So, you know, it's a constant with them. Like, they're outraged about sexism now. And we're going to get to that in a bit. But they talk about how, oh, sexism is bad, that is evil, right? And then you have Cenk Uygur there, who got a little bit of a problem with the Justice Democrats for sexist things he said years ago. And then you also had the segment in the Young Turks where they would try to guess the camel toe. I'm not even kidding. Like, they would show the crotch of a person and they would have Cenk Uygur trying to figure out who that person is based on the shape of the camel toe. It's like, I don't have a problem with it, by the way. Like, I mean, it was edgy, but they're not doing that now. Now they're just moralizing, you know? Like, they used sexism in order to climb the ladder and get popular, and now they're kicking the ladder away from other people and using inquisitorial moralistic standards in order to take down their critics. Because here's what's happening. Like, this is absolutely hilarious if you've been following the story. You get Jimmy Dore saying that corporate media and the Young Turks lied about Syria, right? Like, this is his claim. I know we live in a time where you're not allowed to have, like, other interpretations. You're not allowed to say that there may be two sides of the same story. No, it's just like a correct side, which is usually what the government and the corporate media is saying, and then the wrong side, and the people who are in the wrong need to be punished. That's the mindset of 2021. But, right, Jimmy Dore is saying that the Young Turks lied about the chemical weapons in Syria. That's his claim, okay? How did the Young Turks refute this? Well, turns out many, many years ago, Jimmy Dore made the sexist joke. And I'm like, hold on a little bit, like, what? Like, how is this a rebuttal? Like, what exactly are you saying? So, apparently, he commented while at the workplace about Anna's ass. And because he made this comment, well, he's a bad person. Now, I don't really understand what Anna Kasparian's tushy has to do with Bashar al-Assad gassing or not gassing his own people. Like, I don't understand how these things are connected. Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, the conversation was about something else. And you're telling me that because of the joke that Jimmy Dore did years ago when he was working at the Young Turks was weighing heavily on Anna's heart, and, like, she couldn't sleep at night, like that joke, you know? Like, when she would show her office to her family, it's like, this is where the joke happened, she would say, as her hand would shiver. You know, it's... My God, like it's such a progressive thing to do, isn't it? Right? It's ridiculous. So instead of tackling the arguments, instead of like saying no, you're wrong, and this is why X, Y, and Z, the correct way to do it is like, no, you're a bad person. Okay, you're a bad person, and we can't trust bad people. And by the way, like this is not just about the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore. Recently, apparently, a bunch of scientists. Okay, and I don't really care what the issue is, but I'm just showing you it happens. A bunch of scientists come out and they're saying, well, about a certain virus. I mean, at the time, we said that there is absolutely no possibility it was man-made because we didn't want Trump to get the win. We didn't want a racist and a xenophobe to get the win. In other words, they lied so that a bad person doesn't get the win. That you need to just understand what's going on at this point. Like this is the level that the conversation is being held, right? So if you want to be right and people not to criticize you, you don't really need to make arguments anymore. You don't need to show evidence. You don't need to do anything like that. No, what you need to do is to find that the person you're arguing against said something bad in the past, and then they're a bad person. So automatically they're being discredited. I mean, it's so... yeah, it's completely toxic. That's what it is. Like the level of conversation has just completely made toxic. And not only that, like you want me to believe that Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks are now good and moral people. Why? Because they're being attacked by the likes of Jimmy Dore, right? So they're allowed to use sexism. They're allowed to do their sexist bit. Cenk Uygur also got accused of sexist jokes a couple of years ago, right? But they're allowed to do it. And they use that in order to climb the ladder. They use that in order to get popular and edgy and famous. And now it's not only that they kick the ladder away so other people can't do it. You can't be as edgy as the Young Turks used to be, by the way. If you try it, you're going to get demonetized on YouTube. You're going to get copyright strikes if you do it. Community guideline strikes, sorry. If you do it, right? You can't do that. They could do it when the rules were different, when the terms of service were different. That was fine. Not anymore now. So now they're using the new terms of service, I guess, to try to convince people that Jimmy is bad. He's a sexist, he can't be trusted because he made the joke. And what was the joke, by the way? Well, apparently Anna was wearing a miniskirt at the office and she bent over and people could see her thong. And Jimmy said something like, nice newscasting skirt, Anna. Like, that's it. That was like the critical hit. That was the psychic damage. That was like, like it's kind of ridiculous because if you were to tell a progressive, like you were to tell Cenk Uygur, you know what? I think that we should legislate this. Like people who make sexist jokes at the office, they need to get 5 years in prison. They would say no, right? They would say, no, that's ridiculous. Like, come on, it's not such a big problem. Because they want to apply the standards selectively, right? Like, so for all this time, Anna didn't say anything. For all this time, she was completely fine with it. Or maybe she wasn't fine with it, but it wasn't the problem. It's only now. It's only now when it's convenient. It's only now that Jimmy is criticizing the Young Turks that she comes out and she's like, you know what happened all those years ago? I remember Jimmy. It's kind of like that movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah? I know the joke you said last summer should be. Like that. Man, like it's so hilarious when you actually get to see behind the curtain. The only way you can see behind the curtain is if you know the lore. Right? Like if you watch the Young Turks from the beginning, if you know who Jimmy Dore is, if you understand these things, and now you get to see like the progressives forming ranks and like saying that, oh my god, like Jimmy is such a bad person. Oh my god, sexual harassment allegations. Because they use the word ambiguous. Okay, it's not a sexist joke. No. Sexual harassment. Oh, I see. It's like slapping someone, like, and then that person is like, this guy has been violent towards me. Like, this guy assaulted me. Like, they use these ambiguous words, which can mean anything from, like, the slap all the way to getting punched, like being pinned in a closet and like, because that's what they want. Like, they wanted to keep it ambiguous. They wanted to get people to be outraged. Because in reality, like, what's happening is that there are people who want to support the Young Turks, but they don't really have the arguments to do so, right? because there aren't any. Like, the Young Turks don't have the evidence in order... I mean, even the singer of Pink Floyd said negative stuff about the Young Turks recently. Like, shots fired. You know, a rock legend went after Anna Kasperi. We should talk about that in a different segment. But you can't defend them. Like, literally, you can't. They're hypocrites. And they're bought. Like, they get money in order to be, like, corporate shills. They're not going to talk about getting money out of politics anymore. You know, like, you notice that? Right? They got money in order to hire reporters, and then they fired the reporters. They're as fake as the mainstream media, which is why they're dropping in ratings and viewerships now, even with YouTube pushing them up. So you can't defend them if you're a Young Turk fan. So what they do is like, oh, so Jimmy Dore is a sexist, okay, and because of him, you have systemic sexism in society. Because of people like him, it's like the Me Too and like the patriarchy and whatnot. So now the fans of the Young Turks can attack Jimmy not because he is lying about the Young Turks or like his accusations are bad, which they might be, but they're not saying that. What they are doing is like, you see, if you like Jimmy Dore, you're a sexist as well. And that is the dialogue of 2021. Yeah, I don't know when the dialogue is going to change and become more sane. I don't know if the dialogue was always like this. You know, like maybe in the past, 30 years ago, Anna would have said, yeah, I know that Jimmy doesn't go to church. Or I seen Jimmy, you know, being an atheist. Like, he's a bad person, right? He doesn't believe in God. Maybe that was the case back then. I don't know, but I know how it is now. And it's so disgusting when you get to see it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all in the comment section. Take care.